Hi everybody. The fly that I'm going to be tying today is a pretty famous one that really doesn't need much of an introduction. It's called the Partridge Orange. It's a fly that originated over in England, and it's been tied with just a ton of variations for countless years. It's an extremely effective pattern. The pattern that I'm going to tie is going to be fished more of a wet fly than as a dry fly, kind of an emerger at times. In October in Pennsylvania, this fly is really great to also swing when you're fishing for steelhead. It's going to be a really neat pattern. I'm going to tie this a little bit differently. I'm going to give you a little zoom in on a Hungarian partridge skin. So let me do a quick zoom here. On this skin, typically whenever you see this pattern tied, you'll see most of these partridge patterns tied with this specific feather here, which is around the neck of the partridge. However, that's not the feather that I'm going to be using to tie this. If you have a partridge skin, I'm going to be using these feathers that come more from the back, which have this really vivid white, or we'll say like a tan colored line that goes up through their center. I really like the dark colors that are on the sides of those feathers, and whenever I use this feather on this fly, it makes a really nice contrast because it'll be a really vivid orange body contrasting with this dark feather on the side. So I'm going to be tying again. This will be the Partridge Orange with a little bit of a variation, but I'll explain those as I'm going along and tying it. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them directly on this page or email me at tcammisa@gmail.com. Here's a look at the finished Partridge and Orange, or Orange and Partridge. If you notice, I have just the right amount of partridge feathers. They are protruding out from the body, which is what you want them to do. And the reason that they're protruding out from the body is because I have a little head built up behind them, tied of mole. I'm not sure if that's showing up right now, but there's a little head right here that's tied out of mole fur. I tie that in just so those hackles protrude out from the body, so whenever they're in the water, they're not laying down and clumping up against the body. So now I'm going to show you how to tie this fly. If you have any questions, again, at the end of the video, please let me know. Alright, let's get started tying this fly. I've already debarbed it by placing the hook in my vise and push the barb down. I really like to do that just to make sure the tempering of the hook is alright, and also I really prefer to fish barbless. The silk thread that I'm tying with today is going to be it's a really heavier silk, so you'll notice I'm really going to take good care in almost in a sense numbering how many wraps that I take. I'm tying in right now a French oval tinsel. This is obviously colored silver. I really prefer this silver color. Sometimes I like really very fine gold wire when I'm tying some of these soft hackles, but for this fly, being that I'm going to be using it on steelhead, it really seems to be fished. I've really seemed to have much more luck whenever I'm using silver with it. I'm not going to take this silk body the whole way back. I only came back once. I went over the silver tinsel. Now I'm going to work my way back towards the eye of the hook. I really want to take care and ensure that I just place these wraps one in front of the other the whole way up. I really want to have a very segmented body that is tapered directly, and I shouldn't even say tapered directly, but that is just precise in its entire body the whole way up. If you look at the way that I've wrapped it up, you can see that for the most part it is perfect the majority of the way. It maybe just have a little less of a body right here, which is where it's directly in front of where I tied in that the oval tinsel. That's not going to bother me too much because I am going to put a little bit of a head at the front of that. But let me first bring this tinsel up. When I bring this tinsel up, I'm really going to over-exaggerate the number of wraps. It does not make a big deal to me if it's not a big deal to me if I have too many wraps of tinsel. I want to really just ensure that I have just a little bit on there, and it's more just for almost the look of the fly. Again, I do believe the steelhead like this color silver, so I am going to use it because it's an effective color, but it's not as important that I have a ton of it. I'll just kind of swing this around and give you a peek at it, and you can see how I really did exaggerate that space in between all these wraps with this tinsel. Okay, I'm going to trim it off near the eye, and if you notice, I did come back just a little bit after I tied off that tinsel. Let me zoom the camera out. I'm going to put up a little head of mole. I have this little piece of mole right here. It's a really nice color. I'm just going to take a pinch of it off and tie it on just at the front of this, really to create a spot that I'll be able to build up, so that whenever I put my hackle in the front, whenever I put this soft hackle partridge in the front, it will have something to rest on. So I'm just going to put, like I said, just a very slight amount. And that's all that I want, just like that. So I'm just leaving more than enough space in the front to tie on my hackle. For the hackle, I already have it prepped. If you notice, I took off the left side of this. I only want this right side, the right side of feathers, to be, protruding out from the hook. When I tie this soft hackle in, I'm going to bend back the tip. You can see it kind of how it's already bent there. I'm going to place the tip and the rest of the hackle at this angle, and whenever I wrap, I'm going to wrap up, and then I'm going to lock that tip down against the hook. Now, I'm doing this with one hand right now, so I wanted to explain to you what I'm doing. Now I'm going to actually grab this with my left hand, so I can do it a little more fluently. Okay, and I got about 3 wraps. That's all I want to lock that feather in place. Again, I don't want to build up too much because this silk is really thick silk. Alright, let me get those feathers out of the way. Okay, now I have my soft hackle locked in. This is one of the most critical parts of this fly. I'm only going to make approximately 3 wraps of this feather. So if you're looking at the front of the fly, I'll be making them clockwise. There's 1. There's 2. This is my 3rd wrap, and that's going to be it. This is definitely a fly where less is more. Sorry. So I'm going to come through this. Move my silk back and forth just a little bit. I don't want to trap some of those other fibers in there. I'm just going to make 2 wraps through it. I'm going to hold this entire feather back, place a couple wraps in front of it, pull back, and I want to get this feather out of here. Okay, now I got it out of there. Whenever I was holding that feather down, I made a wrap. I really seemed to lock a lot of those feathers in, so I'm just going to back it off just a little bit. Come forward. And I'm going to place just a couple of locking wraps. It's very tough with me to whip finish with this thread. So I'm just going to make a couple half hitches, and I'm going to build up a really nice epoxy head just so I can ensure that everything's locked in place. So as of right now, I just have a couple whip finishes. I trim off the silk just so you can see this fly for now. Okay, and that is the finished partridge, or orange and partridge, or partridge and orange. If you take a look at this, I have pretty much the right amount of soft hackle. If I was being critical of myself, I would say I probably have maybe a couple fibers too many, and if I really so desired, I might pull a couple of those fibers out. But this is the fly. It's a very short body. I left just enough room for the head, so that looks okay. And then if I pull some of these fibers back, you can see that mole hair that's just kind of hoisting them up and forcing them out away from the body of the hook. So this will be a fly that I'll be using in October. It could kind of represent an October caddis, but I'll be using it also as an attractor fly for steelhead. Alright, thanks for watching this YouTube video, and if you need anything, again, please feel free to leave any comments or questions on this YouTube page. Thanks.